Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 12 of my Satisfactory playthrough. In this one, I sped up this little beginning part, because this is the end of last show, where I basically just hook up my crystal and silica into my mall. Pretty simple. So today's episode, I'm going to tackle steel. I need to move steel production from down below to up top and get it structured into where I want it and how I want it and get the numbers down pat. As far as my incoming, the 4 lines of iron ingots I had left over and my incoming coal, and get that all done up and set. I'm also going to tackle 2 of my commenters commenting something, so I'm going to tackle that today. That's about it. If you like the series, enjoy it. Thanks. You're awesome. Thanks for supporting me, all the rest of that fun stuff. If you're new, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Helps out the YouTube algorithm. And leave comments. I like comments. I like commenters. I try to help you guys out if you have questions. And we'll see you on the other side. Can't afford it. Wow. I need none of it now anymore, which case I can change these 2 into okay. So all this stuff is now pretty much useless. And I will slowly be getting rid of it, of course. And then I've already got them waiting. Or I had them. Oops. Messed that one up, didn't I? There we go. I do try to dump all of my extras into a sink. 11 coupons, yeah. It does make a difference. Now I'm going to let this stuff just sit and brew. And it will eventually make me, when I need it. Which I don't need those. I do need some frames. Okay, so these miners are 120 and 120, which gives me 240. Okay. And I'm actually going to condense them with these ones over here. That one's already going into the side of the building, so that one's already taken care of. This stuff, once again, I just let it sit and run. After I disconnect it, it just sits, and then I eventually come by and dismantle it, because it's no longer making anything or doing anything, and you reclaim materials. And then you're not overloading yourself with, stuff like ore and ingots and that kind of fun stuff. Okay, I'm going to leave all that stuff up. I'm going to leave the these running for the next little bit. The whole point here is I'm going to tap this mine. So what I've done is effectively bumped both of these to 180. I split my 120 coming in. I've turned them both into 180. It's not quite enough, personally. So what I could do is 180 plus 60 is 240. Okay, so now this is a 120 mine getting split 60 each. All right, 60 plus 180 is 240. So that means that I now have, so instead of 8, it's just 2400. So now I'm running 2400. Each one of these uses 270 times 2 equals 540. Ooh, 540. And then iron ingots, 270 times 2. Equals 540 out. Should still have that, yeah. Probably faster just to print it out, but whatever. Copy settings. And paste. Okay, so what that means is when we come around to here, we put up a sign here. Put it up one. So we have 6 sets of 5, or 3 sets of 540, which comes out to 1620. So 1620. And pretty much nothing else needs to be said. Well, you know what? Let's make it look like this. There. Ingots times 1620. So I got 1620 ingots going into that system. Okay. I also like to put a sign right at the end of this. So it's... So, ore, 2400. 6 belts for iron smelting, 4 belts for steel smelting. And that needs to be ingots. So, one of the commenters on the channel was asking how I drag light pole or power poles. It's pretty simple. I myself have the power line tool in my hotbar on a bunch of my hotbars. So you just click it. So you got power line. Mouse over either the top or the bottom of one of these large poles. Now the bottom one's going to drag out a regular pole, MK1, and then place it. Okay. And then left click on it, place it again, and you can place as many power poles as you wish. For the larger ones, same thing. Click on the top portion. You'll see that on these power towers there's a 2 of 4 and a 2 of 3. Okay, so you can, same thing, click and drag out. Now, these, of course, go a very long distance. But, yeah, that's it. The power lines are already connected. There is a couple of instances where I will put down the power pole first, but then it's the same rule. You just put yourself back on the power line and then hook that up. And it's pretty simple. The pole that you, or connection that you click on. So if you click on a power tower without the platform, you will get a power tower without the platform. Just as a, okay, you notice that tower does not have a platform. Whereas, get out of that screen. Whereas if we go to this one and click on it, notice that it has a platform. So while I'm inside, and I'm clicking and dragging and I'm doing stuff, okay, I don't know whether it works on the light poles. Okay, like you can't left click on on a street light. Okay, but in the ceiling, I have the wall connectors. And you can click and drag just a straight wall connector. Same deal. Click and drag it. The one that you grab, meaning that was a 4 out of 4, or well, it was an MK1. Okay. So if you find... Where am I going to get an MK7? That's a 4. There. So if I were to drag the MK2 wall... Okay. That's now an MK2. So that's how the power line tool, if you want to call it that, that's how that works. Anyway, hope that answered your question. Hey everybody, I'm back now. I've got all this running, okay, and I need to get steel production back up, and that's kind of a have to get that done kind of deal, because if I don't, I'm not going to have steel. So I've got my 4 lines of iron running. I need to get the same in copper. When it comes to a foundry, which I'm just going to plunk one down, I'll be lifting this in a minute. It's 45 per minute and 45 per minute. So the math is really nice, and then 45 out. So the math is actually pretty nice. This is going to get, I think I might have mentioned this. This is going to get cleaned up. Once I don't need this anymore, this combobulated mess of garbage will get cleaned up. I have 120. So I have 360 running. I need nobelisks. Oh, sorry, not nobelisks. Change that recipe. It'll be the black powder. And nobelisks, of course. So I'm going to need 15 per minute on that. Once this fills up, though, I've noticed that, until you start drawing nobelisks out, you're not... It's not that harsh. So I'm just going to do a quick writing of stuff here. Well, how much sulfur do I got coming in? That's a good question, too. I have 240. I have so much sulfur, it's not funny. I found a pure vein way out there, and I dropped an MK2 on it. So sulfur's no issue. It's the coal. 360. So if I go 60, that'll be 4 producers, black powder producers. Yeah, 60 for black powder, which leaves 300 for steel. Okay. Let's get rid of you. Now the foundry was 45. 45. 90, 135, 135, 180, 180, 45, 225, 270. What's the next one? 315. You know what? I'm going to back off, and I'm going to use 45 for black powder and 315 for steel. Okay. That'll give me 7 foundries and 3 black powder makers, assemblers. Okay. Just showing a little bit of my thinking here. Okay, now, all this is going to disappear. All this stuff down here. It's going to go. I need to run those 3 coal upstairs. Let's get the foundries up. You're coming out there. So if I give myself 2 squares, that should be more than enough. Yep, that looks good on the road. 2. What I used was the G filter. It's a dismantle filter, meaning that I can hold my control key down, and you notice, I mean, I'm not highlighting anything over here other than the 7 foundries. Okay, like I'm not doing the floors. Of course, if you mouse over it again, I'm not doing the floors. I'm not doing nothing. So that's how the dismantle filter, you'll see it down below in the toolbar, or in the HUD, the little toolbar HUD there. It says dismantle filter G. That way I just get rid of the foundries, which is what I wanted. Because I am too far the one way here. Okay, let's just take a look at that for a minute. Nope. Okay, that'll do. Okay, that works for me. My issue was I don't have enough room on the left side of this. Meaning over here. When I'm coming down with these, I don't want to be over top of the road. Thank you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So let's do the same thing again. My power redundancies are a force of habit from other games. Meaning having everything connect. Oops. Where did you go? Ha! Wow. Having everything connect the way I do. And having things run twice and having double the connections and whatnot. Yeah, they're not needed. I do it for, I don't know. Like I said, other games that I play, you are not in the right spot anymore. So a 2 per with 1 extra. So my wife came home and started making way too much noise. Not that I blame her at all, but the explanation for this is fairly simple. Yeah, there's pots and pans banging in the background, so I just canceled that out, and I'm going to overdub on top of this. My thinking on this, I think, like I mentioned there, it's 2 per with 1 extra. I got 4 lines coming in, but in the end, I decided that because these only suck back 45, I'm going to use 1 line for 3 of them, another line for 2, and another line for 2. My thinking here is, with only 45 needed, that's only 135 coming out per line. I left a lot of the construction in here for you, so that if you want to copy this way of organizing, I like to do things different ways. It's kind of the fun of Satisfactory, or part of Satisfactory anyways. I would never argue with anybody that says it should be done this way or it should be done that way. But my only comment to that is it can be done anyway. Meaning you could do it this way or that way or whichever way. And that's, to me, that's part of the fun of these factory builders. Of being able to put your own, I don't know, twist on it. Now I do the evener belt system. It gives me a nice, easy way of balancing out large numbers of incoming resources. But I don't think a belt system would have worked for this. That's kind of what I'm getting at. There's a place and a time for it. I'm not saying you couldn't use the balancer system I came up with, or any other for that matter, as a blueprintable item on every single. But the only problem is, as of yet, there isn't a large enough system to handle, say, putting down 7 foundries and hooking up and coming up with like the ultimate way to hook up all 7 of them to nicely even it out and whatnot, and then blueprint it. So there's no way to do that. I mean, you could have 2 or 3 of them together. You could, but you would still be hooking up so many belts and so much stuff as of yet. Now there is mods out there that increase the size of the blueprints, the area that you can, that the blueprint. I don't know what you would call it. What, the blueprint plant? What, the area that you make blueprints. There is a mod that you can go up to. I think it's like up to MK5 last time I saw, but that was, I want to say update 6. I can't even remember where that was. I was goofing around with it. It was neat. No arguments whatsoever, and it allowed you to make huge, humongous blueprints. But the minute they update the game, say goodbye to your mods. So, hence the reason I'm doing this vanilla, because then I can actually make it through to the end of the playthrough and never get stumped, updated, or anything else. That's kind of one of my choices for doing this vanilla, just to let the cat out of the bag there. So while I'm doing this, you notice that I'm spacing my uprights in a certain way so that the offset to make a nice corner is 2 spaces. You'll notice if you back up the video a little bit, I saw myself do it on the one to my left of the way I'm standing right now. It will make a perfect corner. I do it a lot. What you do is you center it on where you want the belt to end up, and then go to the left or to the right 2 spaces. And there was light. So when you want to make stuff nice and neat, you can use that. It does work. My thinking on bringing in the coal and such for this particular one is I wanted to save as much space to the west of us, in other words, on the other side of these smelters. I will be setting up an evener system, because I do just about every time I come out of a system like this, I will balance it. But I wanted to save as much space as possible, because this is not the end. This is not the only steel production I'm going to make in this. So you'll notice I come in sets of 2, and then it gets put into a couple of splitters for the first foundry, and then it just goes straight into the next foundry. So basically, 1 belt takes care of 2 foundries. It's a fairly easy belt system. This is not, anything that difficult. I find this one works. It's a little chaotic this time around, because these are going to be the coal inputs into the system. So it, I mean, I had to come one way with the coal and the other way with the steel. You could do it whichever way. I mean, it would work. The choice of going high or low when you're coming in from the side doesn't really matter. When you're coming in from, like when I do the iron ore, that makes a difference, because this belt ain't going to cut it. It's not going to work. So I have to come up with something else. Now, it once you put up the once you put up the lift to bring it down from those 4 belts, then you have to extend the 4 belts. During this, I also decided that I'm going to have 1 extra line of iron that I wasn't going to do anything with. I'm holding it in reserve. I don't mind it, because it's 10 belts in, and so far 9 belts out. Or 10 belts out. Sorry, 10 in, 10 out. But if it's 9 out, then I'm just saving myself. I don't know. It's held in reserve, like I said. We'll see how that pans out in the wash here. I hate doing post-edit talk-throughs. Sorry. But I tried to use the footage. I tried to cut out all the noise behind me. Me and my wife have our kitchen right beside our computer room, or gaming room for that matter, because, well, someday I'll show you what my gaming room looks like. It's shelves and shelves full of board games. I'm also quite a board gamer, playing lots and lots of different types and styles of board games. I'm actually going to tackle a couple on the channel. That was kind of the plan when I built the channel, was that I was going to do some board gaming as well. Notoriously, though, board gaming doesn't do well on almost any platform, it seems. Board gaming is just not something that people want to sit and watch. I mean, unless it's an instructional video because you just can't figure out how to play a board game, there isn't a lot of anybody that sits on and wants to watch a board game. So as I was saying, you have to bring the lines from up top, you have to bring them, and you'll notice I'm counting my spaces. So 2 to 3 will do you. I do believe that's 3 spaces. I just eyeballed it, I didn't count it. Because once you bring down the next lift, you'll notice that, I mean, I don't like clipping. I don't know about you guys. I'm not a big clipping fan. So because of the accordion shroud that's on the end of a lift, you'll notice if you put up a lift, there's like an accordion-like shroud on it. Okay, well, that'll allow you a little bit of space. In other words, I didn't need to go as far as I did, but I find it a bit too close if I would have gone, say, 2 spaces instead of 3 with that upside-down belt holder that's coming out of the ceiling. So, yeah, I use wonderful names, don't I? Yes. I play too many different games. So, with the, like I said, I decided at some point in time here that I'm just not going to use one of those lines of iron up top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it later. I'm not absolutely sure what I'm going to use it for. In previous builds, I have taken that one line and run it into the next set. Meaning at some point in time, I'm going to have another set of maybe upwards of 10 iron ingot lines running into this build. I redid, and I'll show it maybe in the next episode. I don't know. Or the one after that, maybe. I'll show my new factory calculator page. What I did was I redid the calculator page. And so I included everything in the game that I think I'm going to need up until now, this being the most recent that I am playing. So now, running coal into the bottom here. As I was saying before, this is going to get totally redone. I hate this. This is horrible. This looks terrible. This is so unorganized and so stupid looking. But it did the job. It gets it out. But when you do it from here, what I find is I run varying distances of upside down or ceiling hangers, and then bring out the lines. And I don't. You can't make it totally neat, meaning it comes around the corner at a 90. You can't really do that in this because unless the right-hand side goes to the right and the left-hand side goes to the left, that would take a little bit of planning, to be honest with you. That would take quite the amount of planning, actually. But because I'm a little more, I'll deal with it as I get it, and as I get it, I, put it into my system. That was a copper line, by the way. So now I got to get the 2 coal, and this is where I go to the other side and I put a ceiling stackable, because I don't think I'm impressed with that, to be honest with you. That's a little... I figure there's going to be clipping. It's not going to look good. So if you put a ceiling mount, line it up about, well, it's a half a foundation. So I believe that's 3 spaces when you figure out a half a foundation. So having that come out looks a lot neater and a lot more of that 90-degree angles that I'm looking for when I organize my ceiling. In the end of some of my builds, that ceiling becomes so chaotic that you need it to be as neat as possible. I've used ceiling hangers before, and they've had them in mods before this. And I'm really glad they came out with them because they do work. And the mods weren't stackable, right? So you were kind of stuck with one singular. But what I would do is I would fake it from the bottom, from the ground, or from the foundation, and then go up. So to come out, I'm going to want, and I already know that I'm going to do a three belt system. So this doesn't have anything to do with numbers, because numbers wise, if you look at 45 coming out of each one of them, 3 is 135, 4 is 185, 6. You could do 6 at 45. Am I right on that? 6 times 45 is 270, yeah. So you could do 6 of them on an MK3. And you won't overload it. You will, I'm not going to say stress, that's the wrong word. You will fill the belts though. You know, you will do it. I'm more looking for the ability to run this now upstairs. And like I said, this is just the available iron and coal I have currently. So that whole space to the right, that whole empty space now, that will be the next set coming in, and I'll do it the opposite direction. I'll face it towards where I'm standing right now, and then I'll basically be looking at 14 smelters, and I don't know, 600. Well, if this is 315, that'd be 630 iron ingots or steel ingots that I'll be able to play with and do whatever with. Later on in my thinking, well, I'd have to look up. That's what I say. I'll bring that sheet back in subsequent. And what I did, because this is fairly simple to watch and build, what I did, here comes the evener system. So what I did was I took the Satisfactory calculator and I punched everything I'm going to want. Now what that means is you take one of each item, no matter what it is, one of each. Then you decide on other items that you're going to want multiples of. And then you add all of that together. And then you figure out what numbers you're going to need at the end of your game. So anyways, an after decision after I looked at it and thought about it, I have 3 lines of coal coming in as of so far, and I'm going to need 4 coming out. So I went downstairs and before I even got too far into this, and I redid this. And I brought the coal in and I put it up into a belt balancer system. And what I could have done, I could have saved myself a bit of room, but I wasn't too worried about it. So instead of starting with a 4 high, I started with a 3 high. Now, I should have started with a 4 high. I could have saved myself a bit of room. But like I said, at this point, I'm not that worried about room in this particular area because of how much, well, basically I'm donating to this area anyway, how much I took up. I'm not worried. So I then go to a 4, from a 3 to a 4. It's it doesn't matter whether I started with a 4 or I started with a 3. I should have started with a 4, though. Looking back and doing... I mean, it's funny how you can look back at post-editing and watch your own playthrough and go, oh, what did you do that for? Well, to be honest with you, I don't know. I can't quite describe where my thinking was at this particular moment where I somehow thought I had to start with a 3 and then go to a 4. I don't know. But once I did that, now I need one more 4. I can't just run a 3 into a 4 that way. That's not the way this system works. So I had to put down another one, which, like I said, I could have saved myself a whole area of room. Part of my thinking, though, was that I had to turn this around and go back to where I'm going to use the coal. So I would be either going downstairs with it, I'd be doing something. A lot of times during these wraparounds, I will use a stackable. This way you can walk underneath it and you don't have to, because the belts are so close, it's really hard to get underneath it. You have to slide, basically, to get underneath it. And then in the end, I looked at where I was and where I ended up and said, whatever, I'm just going to put one more. I already goofed it up, so it doesn't really matter. So that was my thinking of why I did those belts and those balancers the way I did. We have all the room in the world in Satisfactory. It's not definitely never a space problem. We got the whole planet to destroy. No big deal. So, at the end of this, I take one of the coals upstairs to balance it, or after it's balanced, and then But you still have to remember that I've only got 360. Like, no matter how many times you split something, no matter what you do, you only have your input. That's all you got. So even though now I can guarantee myself that I'm going to have the belts, as balanced as possible, I'm still only going to have. And here comes my other suggestion from the comments. Turn up my music. Okay, no problem. So I turned it up. I might have to turn it up a little bit further. I'll play with this a little bit and see where the music's at. But one of my commenters mentioned, hey, you should have the music going. Okay, cool, no problem. I'll eventually get the Ghetto Blaster and run around with it a little bit. So hopefully that, if it needs to be adjusted some more, let me know. Now, when going through a ceiling, this is commonly the way I do it. I will get my spacing, and then I think it's 1 or 2. Yeah, well, basically right where that accordion thing is. You can get it one space closer, but commonly, or not commonly, sorry, in the past, it hasn't come out, and sometimes it doesn't work. Now they fixed the problem. Now you can go right off of the balancers, whether it be an in or an out or whatever, you can go right off them. So, or don't even put it up, switch, and then put it in. If you want, go back and watch me do that. This way you can get your commodities right upstairs and right up through the hole, and you can get your spacing proper and keep everything nice and organized. This is why I set up the hot bars down below, the toolbars, the hot bars. That's why I set them up the way I do, with the certain things in it that I want. Not quite sure what math to use on this right now. I got 7 times 45. We got 315 coming out. That uses 60 per minute to make 15. That uses 30 per minute to make 20. Now, 10, 300. How should I do this? I got 3 lines coming out. Pipe needs 30. Beams need 60. I'm using Control C, Control V to copy and paste settings, by the way. So the first 3 are going to be steel beams. Once you fill a chest with steel beams and fill your inventory, there's less call for them as components in further builds than stators use pipe, stators and motors, stators and those, pipe and those. You see where I'm going with this. Pipes get used more than steel beams, but steel beams are your MK3. So I have, let's go splitter. Can I go to? Will that work? Yes, it will. But will that work? Yeah, it's right on the edge. I think it was better to build it from the splitter down. Could be wrong on that, but we'll find that out real quick here. Oh, what am I going to run into? Ha! I fluked. Okay, so let's go... let's go this one. Aha. It worked. It worked. It did. Okay. So I'm going to end this episode here as I hook this stuff up. I was really happy I was able to get to the end of steel production. Next episode, spoiler alert, I'm going to do the other steel, meaning steel plates, steel pipe, and screws. I'm going to take care of that next time. I needed to get this because I have to have steel beams coming out for the MK3 belts. Otherwise, you're done. You know what I mean? You're going to run out of belts, and then you got nothing to produce in your factory, blah, blah, blah. Because I took apart the system downstairs, which I am painfully needing to get more organized and looking a little better because it looks like trash. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Thank you huge to all of the supporters of the channel, people that have come back and watched. Thanks for pushing that button. It helps huge. And I can see where people liked and what and when they subscribe and all that fun stuff. And then the comments that come in, and it's nice. I guess as a creator, I used to just play the games. You know what I mean? I was the YouTube watcher. I wasn't the creator, but I'm having fun. This is it's a learning curve to figure out how to make episodes. so that they'll at least be somewhat entertaining, so that you're not driving your audience away and they're clicking off. And it's interesting, everybody. It really is. So huge thanks to all the supporters of the channel, everyone that pushed me. Actually, the very few people that pushed me into doing this. I know they're watching, so thanks. Anyways, we'll see you in the next one, and have a good one.